So I just want to bring up something when I'm creating this t-shirt texture, is that this is my t-shirt texture creation. So I try to be creative with the design. So if you look at the texture, I try to create like this red color sleeve on this portion. Okay, and if you look at my texture, this is what my texture look like. Okay, so when you put it back in Maya, you should be able to see this red color on the sleeves. Okay, so I already saved this, so when I load it in Maya, I'll get something like that. Okay, so it's very simple color texture that you can try to put it in a t-shirt. Okay, so I'm just trying using the lasso tool, and I'm using this line to kind of guide me where I should cut. Okay, so and I end up something like this. Right, now one thing that I want to bring up is that when I go to my UV texture, or UV editor rather, and I click 1 and 3, right, mode 1 and mode 3, you notice that the line is kind of changing. So in mode 1 the line is like this, and in mode 3 the line is kind of curved. Alright, okay, so see that something is changing. Right, now if I go back to my t-shirt and I look at my texture again, you notice that the line looks okay in mode 1, right, all this red line, but as soon as I press 3, the line is kind of curved and it's off this edge. Okay, now the question is like, which mode should I use? Okay, now it's really up to the objective of your project. So if you are doing games, most likely you're gonna be staying in mode 1 at all times. Okay, but if you're doing like animation or whatever project you're doing, right, and it is required mode 3, then you might need to export the UV in mode 3. Okay, so when you go to exporting stage, right, make sure you press 3 and then you go to UV, right, and then you export again. So it's really up to the artist and the project that you're doing, right? So if you require the object to be rendered in mode 1, then maybe it's a good idea to export the UV in mode 1. But if it's required in mode 3, then you might need to go to mode 3 first before you export this UV. Okay, now let's see if I export this t-shirt right in mode 3, because previously we export this in mode 1. Okay, so I'm gonna call this t-shirt version 2.png. Okay, make sure it's in the correct folder. Okay, so t-shirt version 2.png, and save it. Okay, everything is okay, and I save it. Okay, it seems okay. Then we're gonna open this in Photoshop. Okay, so I'll go to my correct folder, t-shirt 2. Right, so this is my t-shirt 2. I'm going to duplicate this in my, not this one, in this file. Alright, so I want to right click, duplicate in that document. Right, and I'm going to call this like wireframe version 2. Okay, I want to make this a bit thicker. Now I'm going to hide the previous one, and you notice like the line is, this is what causing the line or the red color sleeve is off the grid. Okay, so you're gonna have to come back here and you're gonna have to delete all this color that is off the grid. Okay, so that's how we fix this off-grid coloration. Okay, that was the back part, and this is the front part, and you have to go back here and you have to kind of like delete. Now it's usually very rare where you can satisfy like mode 1 and mode 3, right? So usually you have to decide like, do you want to render or this mode or this object in mode 1 or mode 3? Okay, Most of the time it really depends on the project, as I mentioned before, but this is something that you should know. Okay, so you can actually like export the wireframe with a better curve in mode 3 as compared in mode 1. Now let's say I want to save or render this t-shirt in mode 3. So again, I just need to save it in a different file name, maybe version 2, right? And then I just need to load that file, okay, here. Okay, and if you look at it, right, this one is better than before. Okay, there's slight inaccuracy. Okay, so you have to go back to Photoshop and you have to fix that one. I think it's okay. It's that region and that region, so you have to go back to Photoshop, right, and on that wireframe. I think it's probably somewhere there, so I have to reduce this. Right, so maybe I have to increase this a bit more, I guess. Go back to the correct layer, fill up, and then you have to save and reload again. Okay, because we're trying to make sure the shirt looks nice in mode 3. Okay, so that's something that you should be considering when you're doing your project or exercises.